Hello. I think today is August. I think it's 7th, 8th, maybe. It's summer, so you don't really know what day it is. But so this video is really just because, and cheers, because it's cocktail hour, and I'm allowed to have some alcohol, so yay. What is really bothering me right now is the fact that Wormbrain, who I think everybody knows who Wormbrain is, has decided that we don't need vaccines anymore. We don't need mRNA vaccines anymore, respiratory vaccines, for the upcoming flu and pneumonia season, COVID, all kinds of respiratory illnesses. And the mRNA vaccines are the best. So he's decided, Wormbrain and former 15-year heroin addict has decided we don't need those, which is very disturbing for a bunch of reasons. But one, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, because the experts say that he's talking about it doesn't work for upper respiratory infections, but these vaccines are in your lower respiratory area, which is your lungs. These work the best, and they're for those kind of infections, lower respiratory infections that are in your lungs and that you can die from. So, but he's decided, no, nothing, Wormbrain, we don't need those. And the next thing is that is bothering me is people are going to die, because there's a lot of vulnerable people out there that need to be vaccinated for flu, pneumonia, COVID. I think there's some others that are RSV, maybe. I don't know exactly what that is, but it's dangerous. And we're all going to be inside, and we're going to be in crowds, but we don't need we don't need these vaccines. The other thing is, people who have cancer like me, a lot of these treatments deplete your white blood count, and my white blood count basically plummets after my treatments, and I have to get a shot that stimulates my bones to produce white blood cells after the chemo, after 2 rounds of the chemo, after 2 treatments in the round of chemo. So, basically, what are we, nothing? Like, there's so many people, children, teenagers, middle-aged, elderly people with cancer who are getting treatments that affect their white blood count and their ability to fight off infection. But we don't need these vaccines coming up for the flu season and the pneumonia season and the COVID season and all of these. We don't need those. I don't know. I guess we're just a load on society. We're just supposed to die. And also the last thing is, the newest cancer vaccines are mRNA vaccines. Those are the ones that are proving to be the most effective. There's DNA ones. There's, I think, something like Pepsid, not Pepsid, but something like that type of vaccines. But the mRNA are the latest technology. So when these researchers and companies try to get these vaccines through approval, if they ever get there, since they've fired half of the people that do this work at the CDC, and the FDA, if they will be flagged as mRNA vaccines that worm brain doesn't doesn't think are effective for human beings, and so we don't need them. He hasn't suggested anything in there to replace them. Just we don't need them. So he's cutting the $500 million in funding for these vaccines for respiratory and cancer. And in fact, I don't really know if the cancer research vaccines are a part of this, because no one really knows. I've read both sides. Yeah, they're getting, University of Washington, they're doing a lot of this research for cancer, breast cancer vaccines in San Francisco. They don't even know. Like if you try to go to the Department of Defense breast cancer program website, it's a 404. It says something like, for your own protection, this website's down because you could be hacked. I don't know what that means. It's something like that. It's not secure or something like that. The Department of Defense breast cancer program website is not secure. So it's a 404. So there was no way to even look to see if that funding, which was $250 million, is still available for these research centers. And, Cleveland Clinic and places like, they get all their funding from the NIH for these clinical trials. So, if anybody can understand what in the fuck this guy, this lunatic psychopath is doing, I would, I hope that our journalists and media try to find out. Because, it would seem to me that there's some real crazy stuff going on here. And, who is this guy really? How is he qualified? He's a know-nothing. He doesn't know the first thing about chemistry, science, medicine, anything involving this complicated, very complicated work that these people are doing that are brilliant in their field. Brilliant. He says, well, we've talked to everybody and these vaccines are just no good. They don't work in the upper respiratory. Because these vaccines involve your lungs, not your upper respiratory. So it's very difficult to figure this stuff out. And his boss, well, we know who his boss is, Impulsive Moron, who's walking around on the roof of the White House talking about nuclear weapons. And can anyone figure that out? Like, literally, that's his boss, a crazy psychopath walking around on the roof of the White House talking about nuclear weapons. So, we're in some serious trouble. If anybody doesn't think at this point, we aren't Argentina in the 70s, and this isn't a takeover of our democracy. They're insane. And we're going to find out real quick that it is. And it's not just going to be immigrants, migrants, Hispanic people, our workforce, our labor force. It's not going to be just them. Eventually, it is going to be a lot of other people, because that's where it's going. And I'm glad to see that Illinois and Chicago and Pritzker is doing something about it. He is literally standing up for this entire country, because when Texas decides that they're going to gerrymander 5 seats in our house, in our House of Representatives, and Trump's going to bully all of these other states, red states, to do the same thing and cheat and steal the midterm elections, that Pritzker's saying, no, you aren't going to do that. And he's given safe harbor for these Texas legislators who are preventing this from happening all over the country. This is and I actually saw a great interview with him on the Midas Touch, where he was basically saying, Trump's called up these people, governors in Texas and other states, to do this, to cheat, to fucking cheat, to steal House seats, and because they can't win any other way, and he knows it. He's planning on staying. He's got all the gold all over the Oval Office, and it's all gold, chintzy, tasteless, gold shit. Looks like it came from Home Goods, plastered all over the Oval Office, and doors and everything. And it is just incredible. I mean, you can't even write this bad script. And he's, and Pritzker knows this guy's a bully. He's a bully, and when you call the bluff of these bullies, they don't have another plan. They only know one plan: steal your lunch money. And if you call their bluff, they don't know what to do. They're basically in a fetal position, because they expect, Trump has been bullying people his entire life. And I'm sure what I get a kick out of is Pritzker's probably been bullied his whole life. He was probably the little fat Jewish kid all his whole life, So he knows how to deal with these people, and is dealing with them, and in such a calm, measured way. It's just so, I'm just so proud of our city and our state to be putting taking care of these people and protecting them. And he knows the law. The FBI can't come in and arrest these people. There's no federal law that allows them to do that. And there's no Texas warrant that applies to Illinois to come and arrest these people either. So it's just all a bunch of bluffing and bullying, and we're all supposed to just allow our democracy to go to fucking hell under Trump, which, this is going to be a fight. And for people who haven't woken up yet, you're going to wake up. This has happened in other countries as well. So this isn't the first time there's been a wannabe dictator taken over. And you can tell he's planning on staying. He's concrete the Rose Garden, whatever you want to call this gold crap all over the White House, ballrooms that look like wedding venues. I thought the White House was a landmark, what had landmark status, and you couldn't change things like that. We have little houses out here where I live that have landmark status that are over 120 years old, and you can't do anything to those houses. The little tiny houses that are landmark status. The White House isn't. You can literally do this there. Looks like he's planning on adding some, fucked up wedding type venue ballroom on the roof. Who knows? But I just think people need to wake up. And when you start rounding people up and putting them in alligator concentration camps in Florida, what do you think is happening? I mean, this is cool stuff. This happened in other countries. This is the way it goes. This is the way it works. So, everything might seem okay for some people, like maybe us, but because it's only happening to brown people right now. But it's going to happen. It's going to change. So I know this is a long rant, but this stuff with the vaccines is so crazy. It is just so crazy. And $500 million of funding has been cut for us to be healthy in the fall, and this winter, people with cancer, people who are vulnerable, and even people who aren't. It protects you, and these vaccines protect people. And they saved a lot of lives during COVID. 1 million people died here in this country, and who knows how many more would have died without the vaccine that worked very well. It really protected you, and if you did get COVID, you got a very mild case of it. So, this is necessary, and I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of just sitting here in an island, bitching and complaining about this guy and where this country is headed, and I just feel like I'm just alone. And besides my immediate family, but I mean, I think it's crazy, and I don't know where it's going, but I am so glad that our governor here in Illinois is standing up. He's the first one that's done it, and he is committed to this, and he's not going to let Trump steal the midterm elections if he can help it. And these legislators from Texas were out here in St. Charles, were at the Q Center, and it's gated, and it seemed like a safe place, but some lunatic revealed where these people were on some kind of podcast, some right-wing MAGA lunatic, and then they had a bomb threat over there, and I guess they moved these people. I don't know where they went, but so I hope that I'm not trying to be any kind of pain in the butt to anybody talking about this stuff, but it's very serious, and I think people should take it seriously, and think about supporting an effort to save our country from this lunatic and his lunatic psychopaths. He's psychopath, and they're psychopaths. Anyone who is saying that people don't need vaccines because of a certain kind of method that is used, an mRNA vaccine, it's a method of delivery. It's not a live virus. It's not, it's just different. Anyone who's just purposely doing that for no reason, people will get sick and die. People like me who don't have a working immune system sometimes out of the month, it's crazy.